So one of the cool things, guys, of the whole project, sharing with you the WBMP here on YouTube, it's just one aspect. The project where you can present a solution for an old problem, something that suddenly solves everything, not only playability, connection to notation, connection to the tempo dinario. You can finally start using the original pedal indications, fingerings, accentuation, articulation. Everything comes together just by a new look, a new way of reading of the metronome, new for us today. And so it feels sometimes like, how is it possible that other people do not see the logic? Because it is so simple. And then what happens is, it's not mainstream, I get it. But the cool thing is when people come after you, and it's just YouTube and just the internet. But let's be honest, the real world is not waiting for this either. I will bring some stories in the future, not now. So, but the cool thing is that I feel like being in a fortress, like sitting here, just talking to you and just waiting for something to be happening outside the walls. And I see people shooting at me like, oh, this cannot be true and this is all nonsense. But I mean, those walls are so thick, I don't even have to defend myself here inside. That's because the logic of everything is so powerful. It doesn't need me. And so what you see happening is that you get all these deflective argumentations that is not actually touching upon the core essential thing that we are trying to research, which is how can we read the metronome, all metronome marks, in a way that we, as a musical society, and say we, not just the one virtuoso with that one piece that can be played in single beat, just we as a musical society at all levels can apply what the 19th century composers gave to us as the ideal tempo for their compositions. So once you have that as a core essential, as the centerpiece of everything, what we are doing, everything else surrounds this, then you see that when people take shots at you, fire at you, like take counter arguments or what have you, that it's basically always there is a deflective nature in that. And so it ranges from just doubt to like, hey, can you show me this one source that you say, to like, this is a conspiracy theory, or you're a flat earther. This is all nonsense. What are you doing with your life? Do you think that the Pollini is all wrong? Are you so arrogant? All these, from very substantial, I would say, to like nonsensical counter arguments, nothing seems to hit the wall. And so, excuse me, what happens now, I was sent a video that hit really that's the champion of deflective arguments against this, against me, against the research, but here it's very personal. It's so disgusting that I'm going to show it to you, but I have to warn you, it's pretty shocking. And I have a few things to say about this. So, without further ado, here it is.
Hey, der Strafmitz-Hültensekt, der Wiener Schnitzel mit der Lagerwerten und der Saukraut. Hey, der Filuten sagt der Flerten, ein Tomelier wie ein Strapf. En de blitzen zegt de Knut. Hey, ik blijf nog straf met de...
So yeah, what can I say about this? This is just, you cannot believe what you're seeing. And you know, I reported the video to YouTube. I shared a link in the description box. You can do it too. I don't know what YouTube is going to do with it. I'm all for free speech, but this is not only in a way depersonalizing, which in a way goes hand in hand with, like, this is very extreme, but the flat earther, the nonsense, that's all actually on the same side of the spectrum, you know, and you can go to the left, but where does it end? That's why this example is so well. Where does it end? Where does it end to shoot at the person ad hominem? Which arguments really make sense on a factual basis? It's a very slim margin. But I reported that, I mean, let the idiots play, let the idiots be the idiots on the internet. But this is like so much over a certain threshold. I reported it not for me, but this is just an insult for all the people who suffered during World War II. And I know it's Charlie Chaplin, the Great Dictator, but we all know whose voice actually is, what kind of person Chaplin went after, right? Other than the point of this is really disgusting, you have to think about where is the line, this being on the extreme side, where is the line where people really start interacting with me? Like on a basis of you make your point, I make my counterpoint, but we listen to each other. We, for instance, start to determine what is the problem that we seek to solve. What is it? Can we define that? Can we define the problem? Is there a problem? If there is no problem, great. There is a piano. Let's go to the piano. I have 200 scores, so you can pick whatever you want. But we play with the metronome. Because if you cannot, we do have a problem, right? And then we define the problem like that. How many people are doing that on the internet? In real life? Zero. We have a podcast now. We will reach out to people, to musicians, to scholars, and we will see who comes on board. Nothing hidden. We will see about that. But keep in mind what you just saw might very well is on the extreme side. I mean, the guy who uploaded that should seek mental health, or certainly go to the library and read some historic book. I mean, books on history. Unbelievable. And then knowing that I'm living here in the region where everything happened, you know? Second World War is still like behind the corner, here. But it's on the extreme side. But where does that line end? Where does the real conversation is? And then when you realize that everything is a deflection of the real problem, we cannot play those metronome marks in general. It feels powerful. It feels powerful, and you will feel powerful too. Whenever people talk to you about something, once you see this deflective nature of the arguments, you will look just through it. You say, yeah, but that doesn't. I mean, people saying like, yeah, but the metronome is just unmusical. It doesn't indicate how flexible. Yeah, don't care. First, show me that you can play the metronome mark, and then we're going to talk about interpretation. Once the metronome problem is solved, what the WWII does, you have a zillion choices to make. And there will be the diversification. Some people will use flexibility in a way that is described and not described. But first, you have to reach that point. You cannot say like, we cannot reach that, but the metronome anyways was not meant for that reason to be played as a tempo. It actually doesn't mean anything. It's just a number that we don't look at, you know? I mean, I'm ridiculizing. This video deserves that. But it's like that, huh? I am looking forward to the day that the gates open and the book will be rolled out, you know, like a gigantic, let's not say weapon in the context of this video. This has a power based on logic thinking only. You don't need me. It will survive without me. It will survive. The idea will survive without Lawrence, without Alberto. It doesn't need the book. It doesn't need this YouTube channel. Once you see the logic of the full swing of the pendulum or the metronome applied to all these pieces that you struggled with for years or never looked at all, there is no way back. There is no way back. So the idea is so strong, it will survive. It doesn't need us. And it will survive in spite of idiots that tend to forget that what we are doing here is just tempo reconstruction. And for some, apparently it's enough to let the worst feelings just fly.